One.
Welcome to the fourth episode of Scooby in the Field. This episode will be our Lockout special. Our first topic is the CBA. The owners passed a deal on Thursday with a 31-0 vote, with the Raiders abstaining, and they didn't really tell the players about this. What do you think about this move?
What I think is that the owners are just trying to pass the deal so then they can get things moving along and play some football. Now, I think that the players are going to have to really look at this really hard and decide if this is what they want.
Yeah, the thing that I don't like about this move is there seems to be a lot of greed here.
Yeah.
If they didn't get it in by Thursday, if they didn't get this ball rolling, they were going to miss preseason games, and they were going to miss, I believe it's around $200 million in revenue. Now, that's a lot of money, obviously, and they don't want to lose that money. So there's a lot of greed going on here. There's a lot of, we need the money, and the players don't want to get a bad deal.
Yeah, it's all about money here for the owners. The owners just want to get the ball rolling, as you said, and the players are going to have to really look over this really hard. And I don't think that all money is aside. There are bigger issues at stake here, including some of the claims made by the NFL veterans who have gone through.
And it's all around the safety issue. Those veterans are in horrible health conditions, and they don't have any sort of treatment from the NFL. They don't have any sort of support. Yeah, they don't have any support from the NFL. That was one of the big issues in the new CBA, and now players are allowed to stay on the NFL's health plan for the rest of their life.
It is because of this lack of knowledge about concussions and head injuries that have led to many players' drug abuses, including Lawrence Taylor, who is now in jail, isn't he? Because he's been dealing drugs and he's been having off-field issues because of all the head injuries that he suffered playing in the NFL.
Yeah, concussions are no joke. I've personally had 4 mild concussions playing basketball, but I have had 4 concussions. Concussions coming from someone who's had them are not an easy situation to deal with. Almost any concussion, you're knocked out for a little bit. That is scary to wake up and all of a sudden there's a big group of people around you. You know, for me, my mother's hovering over me and I'm like, why is my mom here? This is scary. These NFL players have all their family, they have their coaches, and if there's family in the stands, those families going down on the field, it's a scary situation.
Yeah, and it's going to have to be one of the problems that the NFL has to address. Money aside, players make plenty of money, but you know what? This is a hard contact sport. And these players, after they're done with their careers, need to have coverage for their injuries.
Yeah, and you can't have a person have all this money, but they die at the age of, 40 from some sort of brain problem.
And the file that's being claimed is that the NFL itself had known about these concussions and these potential head injuries since the 1920s, and it will bring out some shocking information in time to come if things happen.
Yeah, so now let's talk free agency. There's going to be a free agency frenzy going on after the collective bargaining agreement gets passed through. There's going to be about a 4 to monthly process that's going to be stopped in a matter of days.
You want to talk about this is like the extreme Easter egg hunt. The owners are hunting for free agents, and the players just want to be played.
Yeah, and it's insane that these players who they're players for reasons. They are one who play. They just want to get out there, and people like Nnamdi Asomugha, who is the great shutdown corner for the Raiders, is going to be stuck with a problem. And all these new quarterbacks coming in, Matt Hasselbeck, these quarterbacks like that are trying to come to new teams, Andre McNabb, players like that, Kevin Kolb, they're going to have a hard time getting assimilated to these new teams because they don't have the same amount of time to get used to these players.
And this is about time. Like we said earlier about the owners, it's all about trying to get the ball rolling, trying to get preseason, trying to get these guys fitted for each other. You know what I say? The perfect solution is if the owners want the players to play so bad, I think what they should do is they should back up the preseason and give them more time.
Yeah, one thing that I want to say, speaking from, because I know there's a lot of fantasy football owners out there, one free agent that I know will make a great fantasy football impact is D'Angelo Williams. He was with Jonathan Stewart in that backfield. That right there, you have the millions of people who play fantasy football are also waiting to see what happens with this. It's impacting more than just real teams.
It's infecting the whole fan base of the NFL. The longer that players and fans themselves have to wait, the more antsy it's going to get, and it could overflow.
And these free agents in preseason ball, because preseason, we're going to be losing a lot of preseason. They won't be able to get to some of these teams. They won't be able to play preseason. We've already lost the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily that big of a deal. It's basically the quarterback steps out there, hands the ball off 3 times, and then they bring in the third string. So it's not really that big of a deal, the Hall of Fame game, but they need all the preparation they can. Now we've lost preseason.
Yeah. Well, perfect solution is to just back the whole thing up and give them time.
Well, there were a couple of timetables talked about earlier that, that the owners and the players had that, maybe you miss a couple of weeks of preseason, but you still have a full and complete season, including preseason. I'm not sure where those went. It makes no sense to me why these preseason games, despite the fact that, they're so thrown aside, are incredibly important for the preparation of these players, especially new coaches. We have John Fox in Denver.
Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, we have a lot of new coaches. They need those preseason games to implement their new systems.
They need to see what these players have got, so then they can work in their systems. And I'd like to say, as a fan, I would like to see the football right now, but I'd rather have great quality and have it be done later than have to rush the whole thing now, have some guys get injured along the way, and just have it be a total mush.
Yeah, I'd love to see football now, but I want football to be in, a good, solid place for now 10 years, which is what the CBA is supposed to go on. And these new coaches, they're going to have a real problem with, getting new systems, and the preparation that they're losing from not having this time is insane.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So
these new coaches, for example, Jim Harbaugh is moving up from Stanford to San Francisco.
College to the pros.
That is a big leap. The college game is completely different from the pro game. There's been countless college coaches that have tried to move up to the professional level. Nick Saban is one that comes to my mind immediately. That have failed miserably at the pro level. Totally. They need that preparation.
But now you're talking about in terms of guys like Pete Carroll now, who went from being coach of one of the greatest dynasties in all of college football to being the Seattle Seahawks. And I think that it will work out for Jim Harbaugh. But Jim Harbaugh is going to need the time and the place to see all of his guys and get ready for the season.
And there's too many new coaches that don't have enough time to prepare with their players. For example, John Fox, moving into the situation in Denver, right now he's a run-oriented guy. That's why he had both D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart in Carolina.
Yeah.
He's a run-oriented guy. He might pick up D'Angelo Williams in free agency. He might very well do that after the 3-day period where they get to where teams get to sign their own players. He might try to pick up D'Angelo Williams. He won't be able to put D'Angelo Williams in with that Broncos style of play.
And also the chosen one, Tim Tebow, John Elway, the great Denver Bronco, who's been a consultant with them, and I think like a vice president is with him, right? He's emphasized that he wants Tim Tebow having the reps, and he wants Tim Tebow playing.
Yeah, and Tebow can be a lot like John Elway. I'm talking about from purely a player aspect. John Elway was the type of guy who was annoying to play against. He was hard to tackle. Yeah. He would always find a way to scramble out and do really well. The thing with Tim Tebow, what he needs to do is he needs to get that passing down. That's one thing John Elway had. He doesn't have. He needs to get that passing down. He might get that from working with John Elway.
Yeah, he needs to improve his arm strength greatly. I mean, he was an accurate passer, but you could see in like last year when he would throw for a touchdown, a lot of those balls wide receivers would be going deep, and he'd throw those balls short, and guys would have to come back, get the ball, and run it in for the touchdown. It's all about Tim Tebow improving his arm strength.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, but now there is another lockout happening right now. There is the NBA lockout. Now, this one has a little bit of sticky situation because the owners agreed to a horrible deal in the previous time when they were getting a collective bargaining agreement. Now, the players don't want to back down on that. Obviously, if you get handed gold, you're not going to go back to silver. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So you want to keep that deal, but the owners aren't going to do that.
Yeah, teams, the owners, the teams themselves are losing money just because guys are getting paid too much, and because the economy stinks right now. Tickets are so high that they're gonna have to drop in order to get that fan base to come to the games, and players are gonna have to make a tough decision. They're gonna have to take a pay cut.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The owners and the NBA owners will know to take their time in doing this. 6 owners in the NBA also have NHL ownership. Now, the NHL did something that everyone thought was going to be disastrous. They decided to skip an entire season in order to get a deal through. And now, those owners in the NHL have a great deal for the owners.
And NHL is on the rise again. I mean, we are having prime time games being played with great viewership at Fenway, and
you have to believe that those 6 owners that have NHL ties are telling the other 24 in the NBA to say, hey, wait, we have other means of money. They go over to, say, Darren Williams going over to Turkey. He makes $500,000 a month. If they're paying him the Turkish denomination of money, that's only around $250,000 US dollars. That's not enough for Darren Williams.
Players want to play, but the players are going to have to, like I said, make a tough decision, take less money. It worked in the NHL, and you know what? Because of the NHL and how it has a tighter salary cap, now the teams are more competitive with even the Los Angeles Kings, who at one time were like the butt of everybody's jokes in the league, are now going after marquee players.
Yeah, and the NHL give players great long-term deals. That's one thing that I like about that deal is the players do get long-term deals. They get not necessarily retirement packages, but good deals, and it's good for them to get that deal in. And the NBA, the players need to realize we're not going to get that same exact deal.
Yeah.
And the thing that players need to learn from this is they might lose fans. They won't lose diehard fans, but they'll lose the casual fan. They'll go to hockey. They'll go to football. They'll go to baseball. They'll might even go to soccer, but we will lose those fans.
Yeah, I mean, NBA tickets are the hardest to come. I mean, getting a Laker ticket in town is one of the most hardest things. I mean, even the nosebleed sections go up for $75, and nobody wants to. The average man doesn't want to pay that.
Yeah. So, this was our lockout special.
I'm Scooby,
and I'm the Field.
See ya.